Now, for my part, that's far more exciting than flying reindeer and Hallmark card moments and family gatherings, which, by the way, someone won't be present at this year. So do you want your $20? A lot of people do. Or do you want that penny? That penny of promise, which each and every day grows more and more in value to eternity itself. Fighting for that hope, that view of life, living within that promise of the end, embracing the assurance of what God says He guarantees is ahead of us. That is the way we can deal with the evil forces of this world. We need not fear them. For we know that in the end, we win. Our hope is stronger than our opponents. God has no rival. And that way of living is available. And it's captured by this one beautiful verse in the gospel lesson, if you want to look at the gospel. At the end of the gospel lesson in Luke 21, it says this: in spite of all the terrible, unfortunate, disparaging things that have and that will happen in your life, notice, we're not saying that won't happen, it will. We're not making light of that, as though it doesn't matter. It does, but not ultimately. In spite of all those worldly experiences, notice what it says: in the end, not a hair of your head will perish. Now we need to say something about that. Look at my head. Many of the hair on my head have perished. So it's not talking about little, it's talking about in the end, anything you lose will be replaced by something far greater. Things are going to perish. You want $20? It's all you'll ever have. And when it's gone, it's gone. But whatever we lose is only temporary. It's a temporary state of existence that lasts only as long as we're part of a place that has this world associated with it, that is evil. But the day is coming, says the Lord, when the world will end. And I, the Lord, will reclaim the earth and all that has ever lived within it. So the text goes on to say in verse 19, by your endurance you will gain your lives. Now, that word endurance, I don't like that translation. And you should know I spent a half hour on that word. What it really means is by mastering, gaining control of your perspective of what happens when bad things happen and good things happen, in light of the end, you get your life back. No more worry. No more anxiety. No more fear, because you know it's going to go away. And you know what's going to replace it. So get your view of life, that is your value of life, in order. And you'll be free from all those things you can't control, which otherwise will take your life away. So, it's a very scary thing to think of all the things that could happen. So let's deal with it. Not alone, but in light of the cross of Christ. With a real response. In the end, we know how it turns out. Because if you don't, an alternative reading would be, you'll lose your mind. The only worldview that can deal with the horrible things that can and do happen every day to good people is what we call the gospel. We know the last chapter. The assurance of knowing how all will end. It ends in salvation and life eternal, in resurrected bodies that eat and drink like Jesus did, remember? In his resurrected body, he ate and he drank. On a new earth, where God will finally be able to once again walk with us in the cool of the evening. He misses that so much. Only knowing that end can quiet our hearts and our minds so that we can live with the ambiguities and the threats that life in this world engender.